I don't want your car, Dad. I wanted you in that chair. Lily Whitmore's words landed more heavily than any business deal Ethan Whitmore had ever lost. The restaurant had gone strangely quiet around them, though no one at the nearby tables knew they were witnessing the moment a billionaire father finally discovered the one thing money could not buy back. Ethan stood beside the table, one hand still resting on the keys to the brand-new Mercedes he had bought for his 12-year-old daughter that morning. "It's yours," he said quietly. "I know," Lily answered. "That's the problem." Ethan stared at her. "Lily, I thought you'd be happy. You always think that." Her voice did not rise. That made it worse. She looked at the keys, then toward the empty chair beside her. "You missed Mom's memorial. You missed my piano recital. You missed my birthday dinner." She swallowed. "But you never miss a chance to buy me something." Ethan's jaw tightened, not with anger, but with the helplessness of a man accustomed to solving problems before anyone else could even name them. He could purchase a penthouse in Manhattan before lunch. He could move millions of dollars with a phone call. He could make an entire boardroom wait in silence for his decision. But sitting across from his daughter, he suddenly felt like a stranger asking permission to come home. Lily pushed the keys toward him. "I don't want it." "Then tell me what you want." She looked at him for several seconds. "I wanted you in that chair 6 months ago." The words opened a wound Ethan had spent years refusing to examine. 6 months earlier, Lily had performed a piano piece her mother used to play with her. Ethan had promised he would be there. He had even written the time into his calendar. Then a billion-dollar acquisition had gone wrong. 3 executives had called him, and one meeting had become another. He had sent flowers instead. Lily had played to a crowded room and one empty chair. Ethan had told himself she understood. Children understood busy fathers, he thought. Children understood sacrifice. But children also remembered who showed up. Across the restaurant, Clara Bennett moved quietly between tables, carrying coffee, pancakes, and the ordinary burdens of an ordinary evening. She was 29, wore a simple diner uniform, and had no idea that the man standing near the window was worth billions. She only noticed the little girl who looked less angry than tired. Clara approached with a glass of water. "You want advice?" she asked Lily softly. "Or pancakes?" Lily blinked. For the first time that evening, the corner of her mouth moved. "Pancakes." Clara nodded. "Good choice." Ethan almost smiled, but then Clara looked at him. "And you?" "Coffee." "Black." "Black." She studied him for a beat. "You look like you need something stronger." Ethan glanced toward Lily. "I'm fine." Clara's expression softened. "I didn't say you were." Then she walked away. Ethan watched her go, unsettled by the simple truth in her voice. He had spent 12 years building a life where every problem had a price, every delay had a solution, and every mistake could be covered by another check. Yet his daughter was sitting 10 feet away, quietly eating pancakes from a stranger, while the chair beside her remained empty. Ethan looked at it again. For the first time, he wondered whether the hardest thing he would ever have to earn was not another $1 billion, but the right to sit there. The next morning, Lily did something Ethan Whitmore never expected. She stopped asking where he was. It happened quietly, almost invisibly, which was exactly why he did not understand how serious it was. At 7:30, Ethan stood outside Lily's bedroom with a cup of hot chocolate in one hand and his phone in the other. "Lily, breakfast." No answer. "You have school in 40 minutes. Silence. "Lily." Finally, her voice came through the door. "I know." Ethan waited. Usually she would open the door, complain about being tired, ask him whether he could drive her, and then remind him about something she needed for school. This time, nothing followed. Ethan looked at the closed door. "I can drive you today. My driver is already coming." He lowered his eyes. "I can take you." "You have a meeting." Ethan froze. "I can move it." "You always say that." 3 short sentences. 3 small cuts to a man who had built his entire life around keeping control. The hallway was warm, but Ethan suddenly noticed the faint hum of the air conditioner, the soft click of the grandfather clock downstairs, and the untouched cup warming his palm. He had heard those words before. Not exactly, but close enough. "I can move it. I can make it up to you. I will be there next time." Promises had become background noise in Lily's life. Ethan finally understood something uncomfortable. Lily was not fighting with him anymore. She had stopped believing there was anything worth fighting for. "What time do you get home?" he asked. "I do not know." "Can I take you to lunch?" "I have plans." "With who?" A pause. "It does not matter." Then her footsteps moved away from the door. Ethan remained there, holding the hot chocolate like an apology that had arrived too late. 12 years old, he thought. She is only 12. Yet somehow she had already learned the adult lesson he had spent years avoiding. When someone disappoints you often enough, eventually you protect yourself by expecting nothing. At school, Lily walked through the front entrance carrying the same worn backpack she had used since last year. Ethan had offered to replace it twice. She refused. He had thought she was being stubborn. Now he wondered if keeping something old was her way of holding on to the few things in her life that still felt dependable. Ethan returned to his office that morning and tried to work. Numbers appeared across 2 monitors. A projected acquisition worth nearly $900 million waited for his approval. His assistant, Marcus Reed, stood beside the desk with 3 folders. The board wants your decision by noon. Ethan stared at the documents. Move the meeting. Marcus blinked. To when? I do not know. You have never said that before. Ethan looked toward the window. Far below, Manhattan moved with its usual rhythm. Taxis sliding through traffic, pedestrians crossing streets, thousands of people rushing toward something. For years, Ethan had believed that was what life required. Move faster. Work harder. Fix everything before it breaks. Then his phone lit up. A message from Lily. Not a request. Not an argument. Just 3 words. I ate already. Ethan read it twice. He started typing, stopped, deleted the message, and tried again. Are you okay? He stared at the screen. Then another message appeared. I am fine. Ethan knew those words. He had used them himself for years. Fine meant do not ask. Fine meant I do not know how to explain this. Fine meant please stop looking. He set the phone down. For the first time in years, Ethan did not call his assistant, his driver, or a counselor. He simply sat there and listened to the silence. Somewhere across the city, Clara Bennett was beginning her afternoon shift at the diner, unaware that the billionaire from the night before was about to walk back into her ordinary world. And this time, Ethan would not arrive with a solution. He would arrive with a question. You are the billionaire, aren't you? Clara Bennett asked. Ethan Whitmore stopped halfway through the diner doorway. It was not the question he expected, and it was not asked with admiration. Clara stood behind the counter with a coffee pot in one hand, her expression calm, almost indifferent. Ethan glanced toward Lily, who was already sliding into the same booth from the night before. Does it matter? He asked. Clara set the pot down. Usually, people who say that are hoping it does. Lily looked between them. Clara, this is my dad. Clara nodded. I figured. Ethan took the seat across from Lily. No assistant. No driver. No expensive watch placed deliberately where someone might notice it. Just a dark sweater, tired eyes, and the uncomfortable posture of a man who had finally walked into a room without knowing what to do next. I wanted to ask you something, he said. Clara raised an eyebrow. Me? You talked to Lily last night. So did you. Ethan looked down. That is not going very well. Clara picked up a menu and handed it to him. Then maybe start with breakfast. It is 2 in the afternoon. Then you are already behind. Lily almost smiled. Ethan noticed. He noticed everything now. The smallest change in her expression. The way her fingers stopped twisting the edge of her napkin. The way she looked at Clara without hesitation. What did you say to her? Ethan asked. Clara's eyes sharpened. Nothing she did not already know. She listens to you. No. She listens when I do not make everything about fixing her. Ethan went still. Clara continued wiping the counter, the soft scrape of the cloth moving through the quiet between them. Outside, traffic hissed across wet pavement. Inside, silverware clicked against plates, coffee brewed, and the old refrigerator hummed near the kitchen door. Ordinary sounds. Ordinary life. Ethan suddenly realized how rarely he heard them anymore. His world was glass offices, private elevators, conference rooms, and phones that never stopped ringing. I want to help her, he said. Clara finally looked at him. Then stopped trying to help her. Ethan frowned. That makes no sense. It makes perfect sense. She is 12. Exactly. Clara leaned against the counter. She does not need another adult making decisions for her. She needs someone willing to hear what she is saying, even when what she is saying makes you uncomfortable. Ethan glanced at Lily. She thinks I do not care. Lily immediately looked down. Clara caught the movement. Did she say that? Ethan asked. No. Then how do you know? Clara's voice softened. Because children do not always say the thing that hurts most. Ethan had no answer. Lily slowly pushed her empty plate forward. Clara looked at her. You want dessert? Lily shook her head. I want to go home. Ethan reached for his phone. I can have the driver, Clara interrupted. Ask her. Ethan stopped. The phone remained in his hand. Lily, do you want to go home? She looked at him. I want to walk. Okay. With you. Ethan's eyes lifted. For 1 second, he looked almost surprised by the possibility. Okay, he said quietly. Lily stood. Clara watched them move toward the door, then called after Ethan. Mr. Whitmore. He turned. What? Clara folded her arms. Do not make this another promise you forget by tomorrow. Ethan stared at her. He could have been offended. He could have reminded her who he was. Instead, he nodded once. I will try. Clara shook her head. No. Just listen. Ethan looked at Lily waiting beside the door. Then he put his phone away. For the first time that day, he had nothing to buy, nothing to schedule, and nothing to fix. He simply opened the door for his daughter and walked beside her into the rain. By the time Ethan and Lily reached the corner, the rain had softened into a fine mist, but neither of them hurried back toward the waiting car. You said you wanted to walk, Ethan said. Lily nodded. So walk with me. It was such a simple request, yet Ethan felt strangely unprepared for it. They moved down the sidewalk beneath a row of dripping trees, with the city glowing around them in reflections of white headlights and amber street lamps. For several minutes, neither spoke. Ethan wanted to fill the silence. He wanted to ask about school, piano, her friends, her plans for the weekend. He wanted to prove he was trying. But Clara's words followed him through the rain. Just listen. So he stayed quiet. Eventually Lily said, Do you know why I stopped asking you to come? Ethan looked at her. Because I kept saying no? Not exactly. She tucked a strand of damp hair behind her ear. Because you kept saying yes first. Ethan slowed. What do you mean? Lily looked straight ahead. You would say yes. You would make me believe you were coming. Then something important would happen at work, and suddenly I was not important anymore. Ethan felt his chest tighten. That was never what I thought. I know. Her answer came quickly. That is why it hurt. He stopped walking. Lily took 2 more steps before noticing. She turned around. Dad. Ethan looked at his daughter, and for once he did not reach for an explanation. I am sorry. Lily sighed. You say that a lot. I know. And then you buy something. Ethan almost smiled, but the sadness in her face stopped him. I do not want to buy anything today. Lily studied him. Then why did you come? Ethan took a breath. Because I realized I have been trying to fix everything except the part that actually matters. What part? He looked at her. Us. Lily said nothing. A taxi passed, sending a thin spray of rainwater toward the curb. Somewhere behind them, a restaurant door opened and closed, releasing the warm smell of coffee into the damp evening air. Ethan suddenly remembered how Lily used to hold his hand when she was little. She had once believed he could make everything safe simply by being there. Somewhere along the way, he had taught her that being there was optional. What happened at the piano recital? He asked. Lily looked away. You know what happened. I know what I did. I do not know what it felt like for you. That made her stop. Her voice became quieter. Mom used to sit in the front row. Ethan swallowed. I remember. She always waved before I started. Lily stared at the wet sidewalk. That day, I looked for her. Then I remembered she was gone. So I looked for you. Ethan said nothing. And your seat was empty too. The city seemed to disappear around them. Ethan wanted to say that he had been working because he was trying to protect their future. He wanted to explain the deal, the pressure, the responsibility. But every explanation suddenly sounded like another excuse. I should have been there, he said. Lily nodded. Yes. No anger. No accusation. Just truth. Ethan lowered his eyes. I cannot change that day. No, but I can change tomorrow. Lily looked at him carefully. Do not promise. Ethan nodded. Then I will show you. For the first time, Lily reached for his hand. Ethan hesitated for half a second before taking it gently. It was not forgiveness. Not yet. But it was something quieter. Something fragile. Something that could become trust if he was willing to earn it. And neither of them noticed Clara standing inside the diner window across the street, watching them walk away together. She had seen Ethan arrive as a billionaire with answers. Now she was watching him leave as a father who had finally learned to listen. The next morning, Ethan did something Lily had not seen him do in years. He came home early. At 4:15 in the afternoon, the front door opened, and instead of walking straight into his office, Ethan stood in the quiet hallway and listened. No phone call. No assistant. No hurried footsteps. Just the soft ticking of the grandfather clock and the distant sound of piano keys from upstairs. Lily was practicing. Ethan started toward the staircase, then stopped. When he heard the music falter, one note, then another. Silence. He almost called her name, but remembered what Clara had told him. Listen. So he stayed where he was. A few seconds later, Lily began again, playing the same melody her mother had once taught her. Ethan closed his eyes. He remembered Lily at 6 years old, sitting on the piano bench with her feet barely reaching the pedals, while her mother knelt beside her and counted softly. 1, 2, 3. Back then, Ethan had been there. He had taken pictures. He had laughed when Lily played the wrong note. He had promised to hear every song she ever learned. Then life changed. His wife died, and Ethan became terrified of losing anything else. He responded by building more. More money, more security, more control, more reasons to stay busy. Somewhere along the way, he had mistaken providing for presents. Ethan climbed the stairs and stopped outside Lily's room. He knocked once. Come in. He opened the door slowly. Lily sat at the piano. Her sheet music spread across the stand. You are home early, she said. I am. Why? Ethan almost gave the easy answer. Because I cleared my schedule. Because I wanted to surprise you. Because Clara told me to. Instead, he said, because I wanted to hear you play. Lily looked at him with cautious disbelief. You have work. I know. Important work. Yes. Then why are you here? Ethan walked toward the piano. Because you are important too. Lily lowered her eyes. You always say that after you miss something. The words were gentle, but Ethan felt their weight. You are right. Lily looked up. He did not defend himself. He did not explain the board meeting, the acquisition, or the hundreds of people who depended on his decisions. He simply pulled a chair beside the piano and sat down. I have about 20 minutes, he said. Lily's face changed. 20 minutes? Ethan nodded. If you need more, I will stay longer. She stared at him. You will not answer your phone? Ethan reached into his pocket and placed it face down on the floor. Not unless someone is calling because the building is on fire. Lily gave him a small smile. That sounds like something you would say. I am learning. She turned back toward the piano. Her fingers rested above the keys. Then she stopped. Dad, yes. Do you remember the song Mom taught me? Ethan looked at the sheet music. His throat tightened. I remember. She said I was rushing. You were. Lily smiled faintly. You remember that? I remember everything about that afternoon. The room grew still. Ethan realized that Lily was not asking whether he remembered the song. She was asking whether he remembered her mother, her childhood, and the version of their family that existed before grief made him disappear into work. Lily began playing. Ethan listened. No phone. No meetings. No numbers. Just the soft piano filling the room. Halfway through, Lily made a mistake and stopped. Ethan almost laughed the way he used to, but caught himself. Again, he asked. Lily nodded. She played it again. This time, Ethan noticed the small details he had missed for years. The way her shoulders relaxed when she found the melody, the tiny movement of her foot against the pedal, the quiet concentration in her face. When she finished, Ethan said, That was beautiful. Lily looked at him. You do not have to say that. I know. Then why did you? Ethan smiled. Because I listened. Downstairs, Ethan's phone began ringing. Once. Twice. Again. Lily glanced toward the hallway. Ethan did not move. The phone finally stopped. A few seconds later, it started again. Lily looked at her father, waiting. Ethan looked at the piano, then at his daughter. Let it ring. And for the first time, Lily believed he might actually mean it. The next morning, Ethan woke before his alarm and reached for his phone out of habit. Then he remembered Lily's piano room, the ringing phone he had ignored, and the small smile she had given him when he stayed. He placed the phone back on the nightstand. For once, the day could wait. But at 8:45, Marcus Reed arrived with news Ethan could not ignore. The acquisition is in trouble. How much? Ethan asked. Nearly $900 million. Ethan looked up. What happened? Marcus placed a folder on the desk. The other side changed the terms overnight. They want your answer. Before noon. Ethan opened the folder, but his attention kept drifting toward the hallway. Lily had a school presentation that afternoon. He had promised nothing. He had learned not to make promises he could not keep. Still, he wanted to be there. Move the meeting to tomorrow, Ethan said. Marcus stared at him. Tomorrow. Yes. Ethan, this could cost the company hundreds of millions. Ethan closed the folder. Then we will deal with it tomorrow. Marcus hesitated. You would normally cancel everything else. Ethan looked toward the window. I am trying something different. Marcus left without another word. For the first time, Ethan felt the strange discomfort of choosing his daughter without knowing whether she would even notice. At school, Lily stood beside a display board about her mother. Her presentation was not about grief exactly. It was about music, memory, and the people who teach us what matters. Ethan arrived 10 minutes early and sat near the back of the classroom. He did not tell Lily he was coming. He wanted her to see him, not hear about him. When Lily entered, she stopped. Her eyes found him immediately. Ethan gave her a small nod. Nothing more. Lily looked surprised, then quickly turned away. The presentation began. One student after another spoke about family traditions, favorite teachers, and meaningful memories. Then Lily stepped forward. Her hands trembled slightly as she held her note cards. My mother taught me that music is not about playing every note perfectly, she began. It is about listening. Ethan felt something shift inside him. Lily continued. Sometimes people think love means giving someone everything they need. But I think love also means being there when they do not need anything from you. Ethan lowered his eyes. He knew exactly who she was talking about. After class, Lily walked toward him slowly. You came. Ethan nodded. I did. Did you cancel something? He could have lied. He could have said no. Instead, he told her the truth. Yes. Lily's expression changed. Was it important? Ethan smiled gently. Very. How important? $900 million important. Lily stared at him. You are joking. I am. Not. For the first time, she looked genuinely impressed. Then Ethan added, and I still came. Her smile disappeared slightly. Dad, you cannot keep choosing me just to prove something. Ethan went quiet. She was right. This was not about one afternoon. It was not about one meeting or one recital. It was about whether he could become someone whose presence did not feel like a special event. You are right, he said. Lily studied him. Then what are you going to do? Ethan had no perfect answer. I do not know yet. She nodded. That is probably better than another promise. They began walking toward the school entrance together. Halfway there, Lily's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen, then frowned. What is it? Ethan asked. Nothing. But she did not put the phone away. Ethan waited. Finally, Lily showed him the message. It was from Clara. She had sent a simple question. Did he really stay for the whole presentation? Lily looked at her father. Why does Clara care? Ethan almost smiled. Maybe she wants to know whether I listened. Lily considered that. Then another message appeared. This one was from Clara to Ethan. You do not have to pay me. Just do not disappear again. Ethan stared at the words. He had not told Clara about the meeting, the presentation, or the $900 million. Somehow, she understood anyway. And then Lily quietly said, Dad, I want to go back to the diner tonight. Ethan looked at her. Why? Lily held her phone against her chest. Because I think Clara knows something about Mom that you never told me. Ethan stopped walking. The warmth of the afternoon suddenly felt distant. What did she say? Lily looked toward the school doors. Nothing yet. Then she turned back to him. But I think you are going to want to hear it. The diner was quieter that evening, the rush hour crowd already gone, leaving only the soft clink of silverware and the low hum of the coffee machine. Lily walked beside Ethan through the door, but this time she did not hesitate before choosing their booth. Clara looked up from behind the counter and smiled. You came back. Lily nodded. I have a question. Clara glanced at Ethan. That sounds serious. It is. Ethan sat across from his daughter, watching Clara approach with 3 glasses of water. What do you know about my mom? Lily asked. Clara stopped. For a moment, even the coffee machine seemed too loud. Why would you ask me that? Lily reached into her backpack and pulled out a small photograph. It showed her mother sitting at the diner counter years earlier, smiling beside a much younger Clara. Ethan stared at the photograph. His face changed before he could hide it. Where did you get that? Clara asked softly. It was in a box at home. Lily turned the picture over. Written on the back were 4 words in faded blue ink. Clara, please remember us. Ethan looked at Clara. You knew my wife? Clara pulled out the chair beside Lily and sat down. I knew her before I knew you. Ethan's voice became quieter. How? Clara folded her hands. She used to come here after work. Not every week. Maybe once or twice a month. She would sit right there and order coffee. Lily leaned forward. What did she tell you? Clara looked at Ethan first. She talked about you. Ethan's expression tightened. What did she say? That you work too much. Lily lowered her eyes. Ethan expected accusation, but Clara's voice held something gentler. She also said you were a good man who was scared of losing his family. Ethan looked away. She knew. She noticed. Clara paused. Your wife said you were becoming very successful, but she worried that success was becoming the only place where you felt safe. Lily whispered. She said that. Clara nodded. And she told me something else. Ethan looked back at her. What? Clara reached beneath the counter and brought out a small envelope. The paper was old, the edges softened from years of being handled. Ethan stared at it. Why do you have that? Clara answered carefully. Your wife gave it to me a few weeks before she passed away. Lily's eyes widened. Why did she not give it to Dad? Clara looked at Ethan. Because she wanted you to hear it when you were ready to listen. Ethan did not touch the envelope. His fingers remained still on the table. What does it say? Lily asked. Clara slid it across the table. You should read it. Ethan stared at the handwriting on the front. His wife's handwriting. The same careful letters he had seen on grocery lists, birthday cards, and notes left beside his coffee in the mornings. For several seconds, he could not move. Lily reached for his hand. Dad. Ethan finally picked up the envelope. He opened it slowly. Inside was a single folded page. He read the first line and stopped breathing for a moment. Lily watched his face. What does it say? Ethan looked at his daughter, and something in his expression made her stop asking. He folded the letter again. It says your mother loved you. Lily frowned. That is all. Ethan shook his head. No, Clara quietly placed a cup of coffee beside him. Then tell her the truth. Ethan looked at the letter. I am afraid. Lily's voice softened. Of what? He stared at the words again. That she knew I was going to fail you. Lily reached across the table. You already did. Ethan closed his eyes. The truth hurt because it was simple. No accusation could be stronger than that. No billion-dollar deal could distract him from it. Clara remained silent, giving them the space they needed. Then Lily asked the question Ethan had been avoiding since the moment he saw the photograph. Dad, what happened before Mom died? Ethan opened his eyes. Outside, rain began tapping against the windows. He looked at Clara, then at his daughter, and finally at the letter in his hands. There is something I never told you. Your mother knew I was failing you before I was willing to admit it. Ethan's voice was barely above a whisper, but Lily heard every word. Clara remained still behind the counter as rain traced thin lines down the diner windows. Ethan unfolded the letter again, staring at the handwriting he had spent years avoiding. After your mother got sick, I told myself I had to keep working, he said. I thought if I kept the company strong, kept the money coming in, kept everything stable, then you would never have to worry about anything. Lily looked at him. But we were already worried. Ethan nodded slowly. I know that now. He touched the edge of the letter. Your mother tried to tell me. More than once. She said you needed me, not what I could provide. And you did not listen, Lily said. Ethan lowered his eyes. No, there was no excuse in his voice this time. No explanation disguised as an apology. Just a quiet admission from a man who had spent years outrunning one simple truth. Lily looked at Clara. What did Mom say about Dad? Clara took a slow breath. She said your father loved you deeply. She also said love could become invisible if it was always delivered through other people. Ethan closed his eyes. Those words were harder than anger. He remembered the last winter before his wife passed away. He had been traveling constantly, signing documents, meeting investors, building the future he believed would protect Lily. One evening, his wife had stood beside the kitchen window and asked him to stay home for dinner. He had promised he would. Then his phone rang. Ethan had walked into his office. He never came back downstairs. That was the night she wrote this, he said. Lily looked at the letter. What does it say? Ethan hesitated. She wrote that she was proud of me. Lily's expression softened. She was, yes. Ethan swallowed. But she also wrote that I needed to learn the difference between protecting a family and being present for one. Lily looked down at the table. Did she think you would change? Ethan stared at the rain outside. She hoped I would. Clara quietly said, hope is not the same as certainty. Ethan looked at her. You knew her well. Well enough to know she did not want Lily to grow up thinking money was the measure of love. Lily's fingers tightened around the photograph. Then why did you keep all this from me? Ethan answered immediately. Because I was ashamed. Lily looked at him. Of what? That your mother saw me clearly. That she knew I was hiding inside work. That after she was gone, I became even worse. His voice broke slightly. I told myself I was doing it for you. But the truth is, work gave me somewhere to go when home reminded me of everything I had lost. Lily was silent. Ethan expected her to say something. Instead, she reached across the table and touched the letter. I miss her. Ethan nodded. So do I. Sometimes I think you do not. Ethan looked at his daughter. I think about her every day. Lily's eyes filled with tears. Then why did it feel like you forgot us? Ethan had no answer that could make the past disappear. So he gave her the only thing he had left. Because I was hurting, and I chose the wrong way to survive it. Clara looked away, giving them privacy without leaving. Lily wiped her eyes. What did Mom want you to do? Ethan looked down at the final lines of the letter. His wife's handwriting seemed almost alive beneath the warm diner lights. She wrote, If you ever lose your way, come home before Lily stops waiting. Lily stared at him. The room became completely still. Ethan looked at his daughter, and the meaning finally reached him. His wife had not been predicting a future. She had been warning him about one. Lily whispered, Dad, I stopped waiting a long time ago. Ethan closed the letter. I know. So what now? Ethan looked toward Clara, then back at Lily. Now I learn how to come home. Outside, the rain continued falling over the city. Inside, Ethan placed his phone face down on the table. Then Lily's phone began to ring. She looked at the screen and froze. It is my school. Ethan's eyes moved to the clock. What happened? Lily answered, listened for a few seconds, and then slowly lowered the phone. My piano teacher says the spring recital is tomorrow. Ethan felt the old instinct rise immediately. Check the calendar, move the meeting, call the assistant, arrange everything. But this time he stopped. Lily looked directly at him. Dad, do not promise. Ethan nodded. I will not. Then what will you do? He reached for his phone, then stopped before touching it. I will show you. At 7:10 the next morning, Ethan Whitmore stood outside the school auditorium with no assistant, no driver, and no excuse prepared. Lily was inside rehearsing for the spring recital, and Ethan had arrived 40 minutes early. His phone vibrated in his pocket. He did not look at it. It vibrated again. Still, he waited. Then Marcus Reed appeared at the end of the hallway, carrying a folder. Ethan, the board needs you. Ethan looked at him. They can. Wait. The acquisition cannot. Neither can my daughter. Marcus stared at him. The other company has given us until noon. Ethan nodded. Then they will have my answer after the recital. Marcus lowered the folder. You understand what that could cost. Ethan looked through the auditorium doors. Lily was sitting at the piano, her shoulders slightly tense as she practiced the melody her mother had once taught her. Yes, he said. For the first time, I do. Marcus said nothing. Ethan walked into the auditorium and sat in the same kind of chair he had once left empty. Lily noticed him almost immediately. Her fingers paused above the keys. Ethan simply smiled and nodded. She looked away, but he saw the smallest smile appear on her face. The recital began at 11. Parents filled the room with quiet conversations and the soft rustle of programs. Ethan sat near the back, surrounded by people who had no idea that the man beside them could move hundreds of millions of dollars before lunch. Today, none of that mattered. One by one, students performed. Then Lily's name was announced. Ethan felt his hands tighten together. Lily walked onto the stage, sat at the piano, and looked toward the audience. For 1 second, her eyes searched the room. Then they found him. Ethan did not wave. He did not raise his phone to record. He simply stayed. Lily began to play. The first notes were soft, almost uncertain. Ethan remembered the little girl she had once been, sitting beside her mother, learning the same melody. He remembered the empty chair. He remembered the promises. He remembered how easily he had convinced himself that providing a future was the same thing as sharing a present. Then Lily made a mistake. Her fingers stopped. The room became still. Ethan expected her to panic. Instead, she looked toward him. Ethan gave her the smallest nod. No words. Just stay with it. Lily took a breath and began again. This time, the melody grew warmer. When she reached the final notes, Ethan felt something inside him loosen. The room filled with applause. Lily stood, bowed, and looked at him again. Ethan remained seated until she left the stage. He did not rush toward her. He waited. Hey. Few minutes later, Lily came through the side door. You stayed, she said. Ethan nodded. I did. The whole time. The whole time. Lily studied him. Was the meeting important? Ethan smiled. Very. And you missed it? Yes. She looked down. Are you angry? Ethan shook his head. No, Lily looked surprised. You usually get quiet when you are angry. Ethan considered that. Maybe I was not angry before. Maybe I was afraid. Lily looked up. Afraid of what? Losing everything. She was quiet. You already lost Mom. Ethan swallowed. Yes. And then you were afraid of losing me. Yes. Lily stepped closer. So you worked all the time. Ethan nodded. I thought if I made our life perfect, nothing else could disappear. Lily looked toward the empty hallway. But I disappeared anyway. Ethan's eyes filled with tears. I know. He did not reach for her. He let her choose. After a long silence, Lily took his hand. Dad. Yes. Can we go get pancakes? Ethan smiled. Absolutely. As they walked toward the exit, Ethan's phone began vibrating again. This time, he took it out, looked at the screen, and turned it completely off. Lily noticed. That was important. Ethan looked at her. You are important. Lily shook her head. Do not say it. Ethan smiled softly. Then I will keep showing you. Outside, the morning light had broken through the clouds. And somewhere across the city, Clara Bennett was waiting behind the counter of the diner, unaware that the father she had challenged was finally beginning to understand that healing was not one grand gesture. It was 1,000 quiet choices made when nobody was watching.